The turn of the millennium meant the WWF had to establish new stars. It's life. Every company, every sports team has to go through change. The company seemed to be in good hands at the time with the rise of the Hardy Boys, Chris Jericho, Edge, and Kurt Angle. All these men had charisma and ring skill and the it factor. Throughout 2000 and 2001, these men would become major points of the show. Angle even won the WWF Championship and held it for 4 months. Big things were in store for this crop of talent, and even though Angle had battled it out with the best of the best at the highest level, it felt like he still had ways to go. What I meant by that is he had to wait it out for a bit. Guys like The Rock and Austin were reigning atop, and then there's others like Triple H and Brock Lesnar on the way. He was in and out of the main event scene. Edge, on the other hand, had a lot of fire and momentum building. Ever since his King of the Ring triumph, Edge's road was paved in gold. He was winning titles, gaining more fans as the days went by, and it got to the point where he just needed that breakout feud to elevate himself to the top, and it certainly wasn't going to involve shampoo. On the April 4th, 2002 episode of SmackDown, Edge was scheduled to face Kurt Angle. Angle was visibly upset over being denied a title shot, so Edge wanted to cheer him up. Kurt was quite hostile due to their checkered history, but quickly warmed up after he brought a bunch of pictures of their friendship. He was unaware of the joke, and once he realized what's up, threw a fit. This is one of those moments. When the match went down, Angle was dead set making a joke out of Edge. It was very aggressive early on and didn't let off one bit. The Angle slam is thwarted and Edge connects with a facebuster. Edge-O-Matic gets him the 2, spear on the ropes twice, and Angle has to get himself disqualified because of this almost non-stop onslaught. Edge fights back and Angle makes a run for him. This only served as the beginning of a short yet very intense feud. The following week on SmackDown, Angle kicked off the show giving everybody a complaining about the lack of a title shot. Edge had enough of the whining and told Angle that his Olympic victory was 6 years ago. He should stop living in the past and live in the present. So since he doesn't have a title shot, they should settle some unfinished business at Backlash. Angle accepted, instantly telling Edge that it's his honor to kick his ass. Then he took things in a different direction. He said Angle should have the fans chanting "You suck" at him, and they obliged. As a result of this incident, Angle and Jericho made a deal to watch each other's backs. He interfered in Jericho's match with Edge and helped him score the victory, and they attack afterwards. Edge was left battered, almost bloody, and by the time Hollywood Hogan made the save, he was broken. Edge was certain to return the favor to Hogan the following week, saving him from a heel's attack. Mr. McMahon was anything but happy about this, and Edge was on the verge of losing it. He went as far as to get the boss scared of him. He told him to leave the building, and Edge obliged only for the sake of it. Even then, he returned at the end of the night to attack Kurt Angle. This feud was rooted in newfound hatred. Edge, as a result of a brutal chair shot from Kurt Angle, had developed a mean streak that was going to send him flying to greater heights. Angle saw Edge as beneath him, a kid, and wanted to teach him a lesson for making a joke out of an Olympic gold medalist. The match at Backlash was damn near excellent, as I remember it, by the way. I'm watching while making this video, so my opinion's probably going to be different. Angle had made it an effort to find the Edge with aggression. Unfortunately for him, Edge was up to the task and easily overwhelmed him early on. It didn't matter in the long run because Angle connected with a beautiful German suplex. Edge had a knack for the fast pace, but Angle had him under control. He was literally and figuratively choking the life out of the match because in the slow pace, he's the favorite. Edge would have to play his game and he was so desperate to combat this, but to no avail. Ironically, it took a belly-to-belly overthrow to find himself back in the match. He was starting to find form when a slight waste of time opened the doors for Angle to rebound with a beautiful overthrow from the top rope. The match was in the final act, the final third. These Germans were taking a whole hell of a lot out of Edge, and after a failed Angle slam, he went for a German of his own. Both men were starting to take risks. Both men were going all out in the pursuit of the victory, and this is when Angle connects with the Angle slam, but Edge kicks out. So he went with plan B, the ankle lock. That didn't work, so he brought in a chair and only hurt himself, leading to the Edge-O-Matic. As he's going for the spear, Angle hits a kick and connects with the Angle slam for the victory. That was a beautiful match. They were cooking and I was eating. This match has zero flashiness. The kick out spots weren't even outrageous. They weren't crazy. It was just a smooth match that was well done. It sounds decent talking about it here, but it was much better than that. Probably one of the best WWF matches from 2002. And the funny part is, this was only the beginning. On the April 25th, 2002 episode of SmackDown, Kurt Angle endlessly hyped up his unanticipated new t-shirt. He wanted to make such a fashion statement that kids in Zimbabwe would be wearing the shirt. Angle had made it an effort to annoy security guards, brought a bunch of photographers for this one, and set the starting size at XXL, feeling that it's necessary for the fans. He said that wearing the shirt would make you feel like a winner, and just as he's about to reveal this so-called masterpiece, Edge interrupted, much to the dismay of Taz. Angle quickly made mention of his victory at Backlash and asked Edge, "Why are you out here?" He agreed that Angle won and that despite this, they had a great match at Backlash. No ill intentions. He just wanted to come out and congratulate Angle for the win and for the new t-shirt. The Olympic hero started getting cool with him and wanted a good shot of the shirt. When they revealed it, the fans are going crazy, and Angle said, quote, "Is that not me or what?" Edge was quite amused, and when Angle took notice, he was told that this shirt was definitely Kurt Angle. It was definitely him. At the request of Edge, the fans started chanting, "You suck" in unison. They faced off in tag team action later that night, and to say the feud was over would be completely false. The following week, Angle wanted Lance Storm and the Big Val Boski to model this shirt for him. Val declined and made a joke out of him, but Storm, on the other hand, was more than gracious to take this offer, but felt worried over the fans chanting "You suck" in Angle's hometown. They did anyways, and the Olympic hero was pretty disappointed. He started going off on the fans and asked him to buy the shirt, but Edge had a big say in this matter. He said that he wanted to buy a t-shirt, but not Angle's because there's a better one out there. And there it is. At this point, Angle had enough. He wanted a rematch with Edge, and this time, he wanted to destroy him. Lance Storm got involved, and Angle said that he wanted to humiliate him, and he wanted to cut his hair. Edge accepted, but wanted Angle to follow up as well. If he loses, he's bald. He claimed that the fans would die if their Olympic hero was bald, and Val Venus asked the fans to chant "You suck" if they wanted to see it. They did, and Angle accepted. Edge said that after Judgment Day, Angle's going to be red, white, and bald. So there it is. This is it. Edge, Kurt Angle, the rematch. This time it was hair versus hair. Something's gotta give. In the weeks leading up to the pay-per-view, Angle provoked Edge. He showed a photo of him bald and called him Mr. Clean, and just as he's showing another picture, a bald Angle pops up on the screen, and he thought the fans were laughing with him. He started going off on him and called them out. Instead of Edge, it was Hollywood Hogan. He ended up whooping his ass after some words, and the main event later that night saw some very intense action between Edge and Angle. Ultimately, they didn't go overboard with it, and Triple H went crazy with a sledgehammer dropping everybody, including Edge. He had a big problem with this incident, told the game that he may be busy with Jericho at Hell in a Cell, but for now, he's got to deal with him. Triple H wasn't backing down, and a brawl ensues. Angle and Jericho, though, didn't want to let them fight and took advantage. Angle even went as far as to cut Edge's hair and carry it around like he accomplished something. The babyfaces may have had issues, but they put them aside for a match against Kurt Angle and Chris Jericho. And this was after Triple H told Edge to win some world titles, to which Edge responded, "I'm gonna sleep my way to titles." For the babyfaces, it didn't end so well, especially for Edge, who took a chair shot in the Angle slam. Angle stood over the fallen Edge with a piece of his hair and the advantage heading into the pay-per-view. Up to this point, the feud had been sensational. What I liked about it so much is that it was simple. Nothing that stands out about it, it's just plain good. Angle is an entertaining heel who would stumble over and make himself look like a joke, but when he turned it up, he showed that he could be a truly evil man. Edge was a fiery babyface who would overcome any obstacle Angle threw in his way, and the match at Judgment Day was another notch in both men's belt. Similar to last time, Angle was overwhelmed in the beginning. Edge's ambition, though, brought him to the floor. Angle was stretching the rules and just beating the piss out of his opponent. He was wearing down Edge, all while Jerry Lawler's complaining about mentioning WWF. Edge struggled to get back on track with Angle all over him, but when he found a slight opening, he made the most out of it. He had Angle worried, and one thing to mention is that the near falls here were much more dramatic, and part of that is because of the stipulation. You know, hair versus hair made this thing much more dramatic than it already was. The action was getting more dramatic. Off the top rope, Angle with a belly to belly. Then the ref gets speared. Angle brings in a chair but takes a spear of his own. Edge has the match won. Problem is, the ref was down, and there's another one. Slow ref causes the kick out, and the crowd was all in. Angle rebounds with a spear of his own before hitting the Angle slam. Still not enough, and he was raging, so he took the straps off. Ankle lock is unsuccessful, so he goes back to the move. Edge is writhing in pain. His hair was almost gone, but then he pushed Angle away and went for the cradle. 1, 2, 3. He doesn't have enough time to celebrate because Angle attacks, but Edge is victorious. He bounces back with the execution and takes him to the chair. This, by the looks of it, had to be delayed because Angle made a run for him. He went into hiding for a while, and Edge was on the chase. This flipped on its head later, and Angle wanted to cut Edge's hair. His dumbass was too ambitious, and before he knew it, he was caught in the sleeper. And you guys know exactly what happened next. The best part was when he smacked him in the back and he realized what's up, and even full of anger, he got his ass kicked, all while Edge led the crowd in chanting "You're bald." Incredible match. Edge and Angle had developed some great chemistry at live events and looked a bit better than they did at Backlash, which is no easy feat because that match was the best of that show. This one had the same vibe, except both men seemed more desperate to earn the victory. They were kicking out, stealing each other's moves, and these slight additions to the match make it better than Backlash in my opinion. It was Backlash, but on steroids. Kurt Angle had some interesting words about this match, and I quote, "The idea came the day after Backlash. Vince McMahon pulled me in his office and said, listen, we're going to have another match with Edge at the next pay-per-view. I want Edge to go over. I'm starting to push him really good, and I want to make him a huge star. But what we're going to do is have a hair versus hair match, and Edge is going to shave your head. You're going bald anyways, so I'm doing you a favor." That's what he said to me. But he said, don't tell Edge because I have something planned for him. I didn't understand what he meant, but he said, please don't say a word to anybody. He did tell Edge during the week we had a match. He didn't say what kind of match, so Edge just knew we had a match. We get to the pay-per-view, and Vince sits us both down and says, we're going to have a hair versus hair match tonight, and Angle, you're going over. You're going to shave Edge's head. Edge was like, holy. He couldn't believe it. After the meeting, he came to me and said, Kurt, I'm a little nervous about getting my head shaved. My head isn't shaved right. It's not going to look good bald. Vince kept this from up until right before we went out to compete. And at the last second, he said, Edge, I'm just kidding. You're going to shave Kurt's head. Change the finish now. We literally had 2 minutes to change the finish before we went out there. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. He probably had the story mixed up because they had been building it up for a couple of weeks. But when you look at his previous interviews, The point still stands, they pranked Edge. Despite Edge shaving with the wrong side of the clippers and leaving him hurting, he still looks back on the match fondly. I think as a fan, you probably figured, Edge continued, it's probably going to be Kurt. They're not going to do that to Edge's head, right? But we had them believing otherwise, and to me, that's the ultimate testament of that match. We actually had people believing that this guy who was already losing his hair a bit might actually win this thing and take it away from the guy who has got like a mop on his head as the babyface. We actually had them thinking that the long-haired babyface was going to lose in the hair versus hair match, so that to me was just a blast. When you can get in there and hear and feel the crowd like that, and also know you are with a guy who you're in the pocket with, you're in the zone with. Great storyline up to this point. It added another layer with Angle bald, and even though the fans were desperately anticipating seeing his shiny head, they had to wait a bit for that, because when Angle came out later that week on SmackDown, he wore a wig. He claimed that his hair was grown in a week and apologized to those that paid money to see a bald, pathetic loser crying in the middle of the ring, but he's like, oh, at least there's Hulk Hogan to look forward to. Angle refused to be an object of ridicule, but before he could finish talking, Maven interrupted. He told him that there's no shame in being bald and said that Angle might look better than him. Angle asked if he worked here, and I understand. I understand where Angle's coming from, because he's wearing that lower card t-shirt. Wearing that shirt means you're likely to wrestle on Velocity. Angle called him out, Maven was ready for a fight. He wanted to pull the wig, but took a German suplex, and Angle was confronted by Edge, who ended up being unsuccessful after Christian made the save. This led to a tag team match later that night. Maven ended up stealing the victory over Christian, but the feud between the other two had to go through one more match. Since Edge and Kurt Angle had endured a personal feud of hatred, there was only one way to go: Steel Cage. Edge made it a mission to show Angle's natural state. This match had the final match vibe, and it definitely was. It was just that. Edge struggled with Angle as he was severely busted open during the match. The blood was all over his face, and at some points had to rely on adrenaline to help him get back in the match. Angle's hairline was going back in time to 2001, and then the ref gets knocked down. Still though, Edge tosses Angle from the top rope with a reverse suplex of sorts. So Angle rebounded with an Angle slam from the top rope. He had the match won, but Hollywood Hogan interfered and sent him back in. After the commercial break, Angle connected with the Angle slam, but it was unsuccessful. So he decided to go for the spear, but it's evaded, and boom, Edge hits the Angle slam. Still not enough. Before he could regroup, Angle catches him in the ankle lock. He escapes. They battle on the top before Edge hits a top rope spear, and this was damaging, but he got the victory. Tremendous closure to the feud. If they let them feud for a year, I don't think the crowd would have been tired, because they always found ways to top the other matches in different ways. Here, it was a bloody and gritty affair about settling the score once and for all. For Edge, it was one of the biggest victories in his career and essentially ensured that he has a great future ahead. Because Kurt Angle is a bona fide main eventer. He was one of the best that WWE had to offer at the time, and if Edge could succeed with him, then the sky's the limit, and that's what happened, although it took a while. It's unfortunate that perhaps his hottest moment as a wrestler up to this point was hampered by a shoulder injury from that spear. Edge went on to feud with Chris Jericho after returning, and Angle feuded with Hollywood Hogan before realizing, hey, I'm bald, who cares? But yeah, great feud. I enjoyed making this video. It's very entertaining from all fronts, whether it be match or promo. I liked everything about it. These two ended up feuding later on as part of the SmackDown 6, which I already made a video on, so you could check it out here. But yeah, great stuff. Alright, what do you guys think of Edge and Kurt Angle's feud? Please comment down below, and that's the first video. Make sure you hit the Angle slam on the like button, and perhaps the spear on the subscribe button. Peace, I'm out.